Shalom and good evening to you. Sifo, I see Shmuel, he's here, and today I'm going to discuss a subject that is going to be in the news in the next coming days. Of course, I'm talking about the hostage deal. How do we deal with this question? How is the government is dealing with the situation, and what's going to be the results of this? I want to try to talk today about the aspect from a Jewish perspective. Our sages and our rabbis and our history taught us that this is not a scenario that waited only for 2023 to be unfold. This is something that we were dealing with in the past. Started very early with Abraham and Lot. He was kidnapped there. Later on, we hear about Dinah and the brothers trying to release them. It's been always a situation. And when our sages and when our rabbis talked about the situation, they mentioned the fact that there's a price for a person. And when a person is being hijacked, kidnapped, and it happened in the past, it was mainly for money. And that was the deal. Happens till this day in South Africa and South America. You know, somebody can pay for a kidnapped. You kidnap him and you wait for his price. And the basic halacha, the Jewish law says, you do not release somebody more than what he is worth. Yoter mikfi damam. That's the Hebrew explanation. More than what they worth. What does it mean, more than what they worth? The basic idea is the fact that we need to take in consideration that there's a price for a person. It's hard to say. It's not equal. It's not everybody are worth the same. They're the same. They're human beings. The question is, if you have the ability to pay more to a person, what's going to happen from this? And I'm reminding you, the reason why people were kidnapped was exactly for the financial reason. And the law says as follows: if you're going to release somebody and pay too much from him, two things are going to happen. Number one, the hijackers, the people that kidnapped, are going to have incentive to kidnap and take more hostages. Why not? It's good money, worthwhile. That's number one. Number two, the pressure that's going to happen on the community, on the people that actually pay from the person that was kidnapped, the price is going to rise, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. That's going to be the drill. They will understand that it's an easy way to get funded, and they're going to continue to do that. And that's a problem. We don't want to get into it. The problem right now, this is not about money. Hostages and the kidnapped right now in Gaza are not there to be released for money, for funds. This is wartime. And what the enemy wants is two main things. Number one is supply, and number two, they want the terrorists out. Again, this is not something new. It happened many times in the history of Israel. Two of the famous scenarios was Nachshon Waxman in 1994, a warrior that was kidnapped, and the Entebbe, the flight, a flight that was kidnapped to Africa. In both of the cases, we've learned something about the way the state of Israel is dealing with it. The understanding that to save hostages, we are going to go into a risk and into an operation and try to release them. In Nachshon Waxman, eventually Nachshon died, and another soldier, Nir Poraz, and of course we know that in Entebbe they were released, but Yon Netanyahu, brother of Bibi, died in the process. What's going to be the case with them? How much they are worth? What's their worth if we're talking about the dilemma when it's talking about the finance? And the answer here is a bit more complex, because it's not about they would want to kidnap more to get funding. Of course, the problem is that if we're going to release hostages and we're going to pay with terrorists, with prisoners that are going to be released, that's going to give another motivation to have more kidnaps. In the past, and the most famous is Gilad Shalit. a lot of pressure that came from the family, from the people of Israel who wants to release the soldier. It brought us to a situation that we released hundreds, almost 1,000 terrorist prisoners from the prison, including major players of this scenario, what happens in Gaza right now. And of course, it opens up a new stage of taking more from us, and us not being able to say stop. They understand that if they kidnapped, if they take hostages, we're going to pay the price. I don't want to be in that situation, in that room, to make the decision about what's happening right now, but here are a few questions that we need to ask ourselves as we understand there's a deals that's unfolded. And in the beginning, they talk about only ladies and children, and now the Hamas says some of the children are lost, disappear. We need to ask ourselves a couple of questions. Number one, how is the release of so many prisoners and terrorists is going to project in the future of Israel? There's the now, and there's what's going to happen from it. Those terrorists being released, how much more damage will they bring? When we're releasing people that are under risk now, would we release people that are going to put more Israelis in risk in the future? What is the motivation of soldiers after this release? When terrorists are being released for civilians, there's two ways to look at it. Number one is the understanding that the state of Israel is always going to be there, and we're going to do everything possible to release our civilians, our soldiers. And yet, the another explanation is that we're fighting, we are risking ourselves in war, and yet on the back door, people are going to be released just because of pressure, just because of the families. That's something to take in consideration. And when we submitted and started this war, the understanding was we need to bring those people back home. Another thing was we need to make Hamas in Gaza stop ruling, stop controlling the area. I don't think it happened yet. When we are putting the kidnapped people on the top of the list, maybe we're jeopardizing the second objective, which is ending Hamas regime in Gaza. The questions are big, the questions are strong, and I'm not sure we can answer this, but we can say this for sure. The Hamas has more than 200 people kidnapped. And after almost 50 days of fighting, it felt like we were able to put them in a very fragile spot. They had a lot of needs, a lot of humanitarian needs, and we were very strong in saving our people and guarding the situation and stopping them from the request of what they needed. Right now, it seems that tables had turned. Right now, it looks like we're negotiating with them in a sense that they have all the power, and we just basically give everything away. The numbers, many more terrorists, they're not sure what they're going to release, and we are just there on an hold. But what worries me the most, and that's me, not a big general, is that one of the requests from the Hamas is that we are not going to watch over them with those drones above Gaza. In the middle of the war, to stop observing them and stop following their steps means a lot of risk to the soldiers that are going to come back after the ceasefire of a couple of days. Friends, I'm not here to give answers. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know all the details of the deal, but I can tell you this. We are very worried about any kind of deals that are jeopardizing the risk of the greater good. In the time of war, individuals are important, but they are less important than the massive, the crowd, the people, the nation. We care about every family, every individual, and they have all the rights to request their kids are going to come back home. And if I would be in their situation, surely I would do the same. I think that the realization right now is that us as a country, as a government, as the army, we need to look at the bigger picture. We know that you care for your families. We understand that. Our hearts are with you. But there's a bigger concern. And the concern is the state of Israel and the state of the nation. And when we're going to look at this story one by one with individual, we're going to lose the plot of the big story and the big scale of things. A nation is fighting. This is time of war. And every step and every soldier and every power that we put into the war could be jeopardized with uncertainty and with us considering more the individuals than the bigger picture. Only that is something to consider. Let's see what the next days are going to come, but it was important for me to come and say it. We are very happy to see civilians coming home, children, mothers, but let's not forget the big picture. And maybe the big picture here today was jeopardized. I hope we're going to have good news and good reports. Thank you.